Choose love. Choose love. If you choose love, you'll live your freedom by and by. As I look out on the promised land, I imagine how it's gonna be. Plenty food for everyone to eat, a new wave of love for humanity. To treat the planet like a living thing, oh, let the old ways begin to fall. In a world of peace, oh, let it rain on down. Let the skies bless us, one and all. Choose love. There's nothing to be afraid of, no, no. If you live in fear, love can make it disappear. Choose love. If somebody makes you cry, if you choose love, you will live your freedom by and by. There's a part of you in every part of me, and we're part of something else that never ends. If we learn the lessons of history, we won't have to make the same mistakes again. To treat the planet like a living thing, oh, let the old ways begin to fall. In a world of peace, oh, let it rain on down. Let the skies bless us, one and all. Choose love. There's nothing to be afraid of, no, no. If you live in fear, love can make it disappear. Choose love. If somebody makes you cry, if you choose love, you will live your freedom by and by. Whoa. Choose love. Oh, way, oh, way, oh. Oh, way, oh. Choose love. All right, now let's break it down. That sounds kind of good. You guys want to choose some love? I don't believe you. What? Do you want to choose some love? Well, Garna's gonna go. What are you gonna go? I'm not quite sure. Come on, you know you want to do it. I choose love. Can you do that? I choose love. Come on with me. I choose love. I choose. There you go. I choose love. I choose. And then I can go. I choose love. I choose. You can sing love. I choose love. I choose. Sing that with me. I choose love. I choose love. I choose love. Choose love. Everybody stand up and sing. I choose love. Whoa, way, oh, way, oh. Whoa, way, oh, choose love. Uh-huh. Whoa, way, oh, way, oh. Yeah. Whoa, way, oh, choose love. Choose love.
Well, lo and behold, the seer of seer, the sage of sages, the prognosticator of prognosticators, the weather prophet extraordinaire, Punxsutawney Phil, did not see a shadow, and spring is coming early. I know, I heard it's a big holiday here, so I thought I'd, get a little energy going, yeah. Well, I'm really grateful for that, especially because this is my first winter here, so I'm glad spring is coming early. Thank God for groundhogs. What would we do without them? We would never know what's going on. Today we're talking about integrity and how to be happy and make other people happy. Who wants to know how to do that? Yeah. Well, the secret is in integrity. We have a definition. Well, not we, as in the Webster Dictionary has a definition of integrity, of the state of being whole and undivided. And I think about that because I know that God is the state of being whole and undivided. It is present and equal in all of its creation, everywhere present. And I also know that I am imbued with the power of volition, the power of choice. So I can choose to be in alignment with my truth, or I can choose to be out of an alignment. In integrity, out of integrity. And there's only the thing inside of me that knows the truth. I'm the one who knows the truth. For me, integrity in the human level is about agreements with myself and agreements with others. Every time I'm in a classroom, I start with agreements. Because to me, it's all about what do we collectively agree together. And then if we collectively agree, we can be in our integrity. But if there isn't that agreement at the beginning, then there's an expectation. I might have an expectation of you, and you might have an expectation of me. They're totally different. And we make an agreement in our head of like, oh, you should be this way, and you should be that way. And then when that person doesn't align with what I think the agreement should be, then I get upset. But really, it has to do with the fact that we didn't make an agreement in the first place. So how do you act out of integrity whenever you haven't had an agreement in the first place? But there are different agreements that we make with the divine, too. Because I know that whenever I'm in alignment with the divine, then I feel good, my life is filled with joy and peace and happiness. And whenever I'm out of alignment with the divine, then I'm upset and life might suck a lot. And even though I might pretend on the surface that everything's fine, if I'm not in integrity with myself, it's going to be eating me up on the inside. And it can manifest in ways, in unhealth, or it can manifest in unhealthy relationships. And that comes down again to agreements. Like if I'm in agreement in my relationship, my wife and I have an agreement to be together only with each other. Now, I have really good friends who have agreements to be together with each other as partners, but also with other people. And that's their agreement. So they're not out of integrity. Now, if I did something that was with other people, I'll just say, like the fortune cookie says at the end, in bed, with other people. Sorry. Don't you add that at the end of your fortune cookies? I'm not the only one, okay. But in my relationship, we have an agreement to stay true to each other in that sense. But that doesn't mean that just because somebody else has a different agreement, I can be mad or angry at them. It just means that I'm in my integrity because that's the agreement that works for me and my partner. And if somebody has a different agreement and they're with other people and that's their agreement, then they're true to their agreement. They're in integrity. But then you have people who have an agreement to be this way and then they choose to be that way. Well, that's not in integrity. It just means you get to be honest with yourself. and the people that you're around. In spiritual living, when we look at in Centers for Spiritual Living, there's an organizational design model that is for the entire organization, and integrity is one of our values that we express. And in the organizational design model, it says about integrity, we embrace the quality of being honest and strive to let our inner convictions match our outer actions. We express wholeness, honesty, and fairness in our relationship and our activities. When I first got into this teaching, I was kind of the person who liked to make an appearance and show up late all the time. I don't know, nobody else does that, right? Party starts at 11. I know it starts going at 12. I would show up at 12. Or I would do that a little bit late in my classes and workshops. And then I heard a talk on integrity. And the person I wanted to be was a person who honored time. I wanted to honor time, and I wanted to honor other people's time. And I didn't want to be a disruption. And so I shifted that way of being from being the person who was always late no matter where I went, to my job, in the workshop, in whatever I was doing, to being the person who was always on time. And that's my new commitment with myself, to honor those around me, to be in integrity with myself. And I feel much better about it. And then I know when I can't live up to that, I make a new agreement. I renegotiate. I'm like, I'm going to be late. And I know at this moment. And so I call the person up and I let them know immediately that I might be 5 minutes or 10 minutes late. But that's because in my book, for me, I want to be in integrity with who I am. And I'm a person who's on time, and I honor my commitments all of the time. But I do that the same way as a teacher. I commit to my classes. I'm going to start on time, and I'm going to end on time. And then if I can't keep my commitment, I'll renegotiate with the class. And if the class says, no, we can't go 10 minutes over, then I won't. But if the class says it's okay, then I will. But the majority of the time, I'm always on time, ending and beginning. Because it's all about integrity, about making an agreement. We're reading this book of the month, The Inward Journey by Howard Thurman. Now, Howard Thurman, first of all, it's Black History Month, and so we're honoring that by picking this very amazing book, if you haven't read it. This man was a man who counseled and mentored Martin Luther King. He's got some amazing wisdom in this book, and well, in all his books, but this one's our book of the month, so read this one too. And he said in his book, and by the way, he was born in the turn of the century, so the 1900s. He said, I'm impressed by the stories which have come to us concerning the life of the American Indian. The Great Spirit brooded over all life in general, and in particular. Before they went hunting, they invoked the Great Spirit. When crops were planted, they invoked the Great Spirit. When there was death and birth, they invoked the Great Spirit. For all common and special experiences of life were seen as being under the sponsorship of the Great Spirit. That meant there was the ever availability and necessity of being genuine. The wall between the inner and outer was very transparent, and the integrity of the act sprang out of the integrity of the person. One dare not pretend to the Great Spirit. And for me, that shows that integrity is really an inward journey. That even if somebody's being out of integrity in their life, that's on them. But when I'm being out of integrity in my life, that's on me. And I strive to be in alignment with what I know my own integrity to be. When I think it was 13 or 14, there was this rumor mill that went around that I was 13 or 14, that I was drinking and dancing on tables and sexually explicit with all kinds of people, that went around with a bunch of people that I knew. And I didn't do that until I was in my 20s, so just so you know, but it hurt me at the time. And as you know, the teenage years are very sensitive, at least for me. I was very sensitive. And that was really upsetting to me because people were malicious. People were malicious. Now, you can see that on the internet now. It was prior to then, but it was the rumor mill at the school and everything had gotten going. And even parents in an organization I was involved in were speaking bad and mean things to me. And I was really upset because it wasn't true. It wasn't true. And then I had this parent, one of my friend's moms, who quoted this to me. "When men speak ill of thee, live so as no one may believe them." And that's by Plato. And I've stuck true to that. That really helps me in my life as a guiding system because I know who I am and I know what I stand for. And I know how I am out in the world. And I know that if you're speaking ill of me in a certain manner of judgment, then maybe it has more to do with you than it does with me. But that's because I know inside that I'm in integrity with the truth of my being. In The Inward Journey, Howard Thurman says, "If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. And if I make my bed in hell, thou art there." You have the opportunity and choice of where you're going to be. And there may be something inside of you that's stirring that says, you know what, I'm out of integrity in this way. Well, the way to do it is to bring it to the surface, to talk about it, and to make a new agreement. Make a new agreement with yourself. Make a new agreement with those around you. And I think that's hard sometimes because here in this teaching we talk about it sometimes, fake it till you make it, or, like just say this affirmation in this prayer of I am healthy and vibrant, and I'm sick and everything, just say that. But the truth of our being is whole. God knows that about us. The truth of our being is perfect. God knows that about us. The truth of our being is that we're sacred and holy, and God already knows that about us. We're the ones who question it. We're the ones who get out of alignment. And there's always something inside each and every one of our souls that call us forth into standing in the greater sense of our being, in alignment with God. Or you might say in alignment with love. What would love do? That might be a better barometer. What would love do? There's a story about this man in India. He was a devotee, and he knelt to be initiated as a disciple. And the guru whispered the sacred mantra into his ear. And he said, "Do not reveal the sacred mantra to anyone." And so the devotee, hopeful disciple said, "What will happen if I tell other people?" And the guru said, "Anyone who you reveal the mantra will be liberated from the bondage of ignorance and excluded from suffering. But you will be excluded from discipleship, and you will suffer greatly." He was at choice point. So the devotee decided to rush out to the marketplace, gather a huge crowd of people, and announce to everybody what the mantra was. And all of the disciples were super mad. they demanded that he be expelled because of his disobedience. And of course, the guru was true to his actions, and he did expel the disciple for his disobedience. But then he said, "He has no need of anything I can teach. His action has shown that he is a guru in his own right." Now, each and every one of you here is a guru in your own right. There is something inside of you that knows the truth and knows when you're in alignment and integrity with it. It's called congruency. Congruency, which is the demonstration of integrity, is the arrangement of all the parts of the whole so that everything is strengthened and supported. In us as an individual, it means the inner and the outer is aligned. But just like the potential disciple, he knew that if what he could do was stop suffering and share the word that will help and benefit other people, that he was going to do it. Because it was more important to him to be in alignment with the whole than it was for his own wanting the title. Ernest Holmes said, "Sound relations with others do not permit any selfishness. What good we may desire for ourselves, we must also desire for them. Jealousy of others has no place in our thinking. What we would deprive of them, we would deprive ourselves of." See, everything reflects out into the universe. And so when I think I'm fooling you, I'm not fooling you, I'm only fooling me. When I think I'm pulling the wool over somebody, I'm not doing it to them, I'm just doing it to myself. So the question is, who do I want to be in this world? How do I want to be? What is stopping me from living authentically in integrity with the truth of my being? It's called a life of character. And the life of character is a choice. We have a choice. The etymology of the word character is really interesting. It comes from the word Greek, character, which means engraved mark or symbol or imprint on the soul. And it wasn't until the 17th century until the word became associated with the sum of qualities that defines a person. In 1908, William Stratton Bruce wrote in The Formation of Christian Character that everything goes in to the shaping and the coloring of man's character. But he pointed out that character is not the same as personal tastes. So I might have my personal tastes or preference, like my temperament, how I like to dress, what my favorite music is, whether I'm an introvert, whether I'm an extrovert, but it has nothing to do with character. Character is defined on how our habits, motives, thoughts relate to morality, and in particular, integrity. Character is our moral self, and it's built through everyday choices. Now, 2 years ago, I was in a mall parking lot, and it was the holidays, a little bit of a stressful time. People are not always in alignment with the holiday spirit. And I was driving around the mall, and I literally was looking for a parking space for 20 minutes. I mean, it was just one of those days, like everybody in the entire universe had to show up on the same day that I did. And finally, I was driving, finally I found a door so I could, drive and follow somebody who's walking out and follow them to the spot. I'm sure some of you have done that. Like, okay, I'm just gonna catch this person and go wherever they're going. And so they walked over to the car, and I pulled up, and I patiently put my blinker on, and they pulled out, and somebody from the other end pulled in really quickly. Right? Oh my God, I was so mad. And I was like, oh my God. And so they got out of the car, and as I was driving by, I was like, and I almost flipped them the bird. And then I realized my license plate says Rev Abby on it. That close. But that's the person that I want to be. I don't want to be known as the bird flipping minister, like some days I make the choices that are in alignment with my integrity. David Brooks, in his book and TED Talk, The Road to Character, he writes the central question of this is not only to do good, but to be good. And you can ask yourself this by one simple question. Am I living for my resume, or am I living for my eulogy? Now, my resume might say, associate minister at CSL Seattle, and all of these skills and talents and everything that I have. But my eulogy isn't going to necessarily talk about that. My eulogy is going to talk about bravery, courage, how I connect with people, my authenticity. And I wonder, what is your eulogy going to be about? Now, I have a messy past. I do. I've been addicted to drugs. I've had a short sale in my house. I've had a lot of things. I have danced on tables, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but doing it while drinking is not as pretty. I have a messy past, but I know at this moment is a choice point. And if I ask myself what would love do, love would forgive myself for my messy past and love myself because of who I've become because of it. And I get to choose every single day on who I'm going to show up to be. Who is that person? Who is that authentic person of integrity? And that's what I want to be. I want to be that. So I leave you with the challenge this week of looking at everything you do and think about, am I living for my resume or am I living for my eulogy? How do I not only want to do better, but be better? And the last question of all, what would love do? So it is. Let's pray. So just being in this sense of realization that I am part of that infinite whole, and I am complete in my soul, that the infinite everything that I call God is ever calling me towards the truth of its being, towards being a stand for love and a stand for peace and a stand for joy, which I know is the divine nature, and it's my divine nature. And so I speak and act in integrity from this moment on, in alignment with the truth of my being, and I claim and know that for each and every person here. I surrender to the idea that everything is conspiring for my greatest good, and that I'm here on purpose, on target, for a reason. And that reason must be a greater expression of love in the world. That reason must be to love myself at a deeper level and to love those around me at a deeper level. And so I surrender to this truth, recognizing and knowing that it is my truth, that God is my truth. And with God as my witness, I am grateful to know that I am guided every day in every way to the highest and greatest good for my well-being, for this center's well-being, for everybody's well-being that comes into Center for Spiritual Living. That each and every one of us are conspiring to be in integrity as a force for good in the world. And so I claim that truth right here and right now. And I'm grateful to know it, to accept it, to embody it, and to be it. And so it is.